Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It's Tuesday morning and thankfully this is the last day of the Great British Heatwave. It is really hot actually. I'm recording this at 7 a.m. and just after. It's already 27 degrees C. Don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. It's in the 80s anyway. There's actually quite a cool breeze, but it's just the heat is just something else. And within a couple of hours, I think we're going to go up to 37, they're now predicting. They're only predicting like 33, 34, like a day or two back. Now it's going to be 37. That's hot. Anyway, let's get into this video. Now, if you only watch my channel for summer wells content, well, come back tomorrow because today, not talking about summer, talking about Dillon rounds. I've got a playlist on Dillon rounds. I've been following the case closely. I've been catching up. Yesterday I spent the day catching up because I've missed some stuff because I've been doing the Summer Wells Suspects mini-series. So let's talk about the latest in the Dillon rounds case. Kurt Wadsworth's daughter, a lady called Sammy, went on Zavgirl's channel. That's one of the most, I think, informative interviews I've seen in the case. She was very open, very forthcoming, and gave her dad, Kurt, a rock solid alibi. So, interesting. Dillon, 19 years old, works a farm which his grandfather bought some land for him in the desert in Lucin, Utah. It's about 27 miles from a town called Montello, a very small town. Literally 100 people or less live there. That's over the border in Nevada. So Dillon was last spoken to, so the last proof of life, absolutely certain, was about 6:50 a.m. on Saturday, 28th of May. After which time, no one has seen or heard from Dillon. Monday, when the alarm was raised over the weekend, Dillon's family have been trying to get in touch with him. Dillon's grandparents, who know two people who helped Dillon on the farm, someone called Don and someone called Jim or James Brenner. They were asked to go and see if Dillon was on the farm. Oh, that's a nice breeze. You might not like it, but I'm not going to turn away from it. So I'm sorry if there's wind noise. I'm not turning away from this nice breeze. But they said that Dillon was nowhere to be seen. Now, James Brenner is now in jail, picked up on a pre-existing warrant. He has been named a suspect in Dillon's disappearance. Now, the last video I made about this case, about a week ago, just over, was some information that someone in my Facebook group, who has her own channel, I'll leave a link to her channel in the description box. She's been putting out some really interesting stuff in relation to this case. She's been going to the court hearings, and she was at James Brenner's court hearing. And she said he's a short guy, maybe about 5'3". Kurt's daughter says he's maybe a little bit taller than that, maybe around 5'6". But the point is, he's a short guy relative to everybody else in this story, right? So bear that in mind. But I'm wondering now whether that's relevant at all. So James has been picked up, pre-existing warrant. Kurt's daughter, Sammy, said that she knows Jim. She didn't know the extent of his criminal record though. So, he's just some old guy. She said, look, he's not very intelligent. I don't think he'd plan a murder or be able to hide a body. And we've got shades now of what I've been saying over the last few days about Candice Bly. That has she got the wherewithal, has she got the intelligence, the forward thinking to be able to hide Summer's body if Summer died on her watch? And it's a similar argument that would Jim have the wherewithal, would he have the skill to be able to hide a body? He'd need help. And I think she's right. I made that point as well, that I think Jim, you know, he's a fairly old guy, probably not the fittest guy. Would he really hide a body? Having said that, you'd only need to drive, you know, for a couple of hours maybe, and then just drop him off. You don't even need to bury a body, you know, just out there in the desert. It's so desolate. So I don't know. We'll keep that one on the back burner. Now the other two guys who are problematic in my opinion are someone called Chase and his friend Robert. Both of those guys are now in jail. Chase is the guy that Dylan's mother, Candice Cooley, told us right from the get-go, right from the beginning. Candice came out and said, look, you know, Chase, the timeline doesn't work, he's got an alibi, he was in another town on the day Dylan probably disappeared. I don't know, I'm turning back to Chase after what Sammy said, turning back to Chase. Kurt has been saying to anyone who listened that he thinks Chase and Robert did it. And Robert's vehicle has not been taken in by the feds. It's not been checked. And Kurt thinks that it's Robert's vehicle that was used in the transportation of Dylan's body. Yeah, there is that slim possibility that he's still alive, but after all this time, you know, it's nearly 2 months. After all this time, I'm starting to think it's pretty unlikely. Anyway, Chase and Robert are in jail. So we've got 3 of the main suspects. One been named a suspect by the law enforcement there. Now Chase, very violent man, got lots of criminal charges. His charges on animal cruelty are something else. And Sammy said, you know, it's known that Chase just basically killed all his own dogs, you know, big temper on him. But what would be the motive for Chase, his friend Robert, or anyone else for that matter, to kill Dylan? What would the motive be? In the early days, I was thinking, look, Kurt Wadsworth, he's the one that knows Dylan the best. He's closest to Dylan, even though Kurt's like an old guy. Befriended Dylan. There was lots of talk about Dylan and Kurt being gay and being in a relationship, and I speculated, was this an anti-gay crime? Was this a domestic dispute if Dylan and Kurt were in a relationship that boiled over into anger? Doesn't look like that now. It looks like Ellen Berg and Dylan Berg, Ellen being the owner of the Saddle Sore Bar there in Montello. Kurt used to own it, according to Sammy, but he sold it to Ellen. But he still works there when it's open, he still manages it for Ellen. You know, and they were saying, yeah, he's gay, he's a cross-dresser, and this, that, the other, really dropping Kurt in it. But Sammy says that isn't true at all. Kurt isn't gay, he's not a cross-dresser. Well, with respect to Sammy, maybe it's those kind of details have been kept from his daughter, kept from his family. But I don't think it's relevant. If this isn't an anti-gay crime, if this isn't a domestic dispute gone wrong, then to me it's irrelevant. But according to Sammy, both are straight, and people have been barking up the wrong tree thinking that. I mean, it's noteworthy that Kurt has not been arrested. Kurt has been, according to Sammy, has been searching for Dylan, has been doing his best to try and find Dylan. He's been out there, he's really upset. He was a close friend of Dylan. So, you know, I suppose like Dylan thought of him as some kind of father figure, like just an unlikely friendship, but still, unlikely friendships do occur. Sammy and the entire Wadsworth clan got together over that weekend. It was Memorial Weekend in the US. They all got together, so Kurt was there the whole time. Was there Friday night, Saturday. Well, we know Dylan was alive on Saturday morning, but Kurt was there with his family. So he's not just got one alibi, he's got several. So what's the motive? What could have happened to Dylan? Well, Dylan's mother, Candice, said that she thought that there'd been some kind of fight. There was no tracks from the truck leading out of the farm. It looked like it had been power washed, and Dylan never power washes his vehicle. Also, the seat was pushed forward. Dylan's like, oh, that breeze. Dylan's 5'10", and the seat was pushed right forward. Candice is only 4'11", so when she drives Dylan's vehicle, she has to pull the seat forward. And she said someone short, i.e. Jim, the only short guy in this story, is the chief suspect. Well, law enforcement think he is as well. But there's an alternative explanation, because several people in Montello, including Sammy, who saw Dylan just a day before he disappeared, she saw him on the Friday morning. He was in Montello on the Friday morning. And the truck had been power washed. Dylan had done it himself, according to Sammy. So, you know, Candice doesn't know her son as well as she thinks she does. So, possibly, the truck never moved from Friday when Dylan went back to his farm. He didn't go back to Montello later on in the day on Friday. He was at his farm Friday night. Sammy speculates that Dylan was planting all night. He needed to get his seed in the ground. I don't know about that, because when he spoke to his grandma, he cut the call short because he said, it's going to rain, I've got to get my seed in the ground because it's in the grain truck. I've got to, you know, protect my seed from the rain because I don't want it to get wet because it'll start sprouting. But if he'd been planting all night, how much seed would actually be left? You know, how much did he have to plant? Now, it is possible that he'd planted all night and then still had more to plant and was planning to do that on the Saturday. Or he'd perhaps planted overnight, finished planting, and was taking his truck, maybe with a little bit of seed left, back to the grain shed. Now, the grain shed is 5 miles away from Dylan's trailer and kind of his farm, and it's not on Dylan's land. It's on someone else's land, but it's used communally. Dylan, however, does not have a key to the gate to get into the grain shed, which this is an issue. I think this is really important detail. Him and Jim have been having arguments because Jim does have a key. He lives on the land close by in his own trailer, owned by Don, who's also kind of worked for Dylan. Has been named in the court papers. He's not been arrested, not been named a suspect, but his initials are in the court papers because it was Don who contacted the feds and led them to Jim, because he'd been holding firearms for Jim, and Jim is a felon, shouldn't have the type of firearms that he had. That's interesting because Don and Jim are friends. Maybe Don, you know, ratted on Jim, tried to alienate himself from the situation and basically turn informant, so to speak. Interesting. Or maybe Don has nothing to do with it and he's concerned and he knows Jim has got all of these firearms. It was also speculated in the early days that it was Dylan's own weapon, his pistol, that was used to kill him. These things aren't true because the seat pushed forward. Maybe that was just Dylan cleaning out the inside of the truck. Maybe he power washed the outside of the truck on the Thursday, went to Montello, decided to clean out the rest of the truck on the Friday when he went back to Montello. He pushed the seat forward, you know, just in the process of cleaning, and then didn't use it again, had no need to use it again. You know, he'd been planting Friday night into early Saturday morning. That kind of makes sense. Like, Sammy's story makes sense. However, she wasn't there. She's only speculating that that's what Dylan might have been doing on the Friday night. The important thing is that her dad has got numerous alibis and wasn't with Dylan, according to the Wadsworth family, on the night of the 27th into the 28th, and then that day of the 28th, when it's likely to be that day that an altercation occurred, and that's what's resulted in Dylan's disappearance. So yeah, Dylan didn't have a key to that gate, but when he was arguing with Jim or anyone else who had a key, he'd just take the fence down. It was just a barbed wire fence, and he'd just cut through the fence, take the fence down so he could drive in. Right, he wasn't going to take no BS, wasn't Dylan. And this has been angering Jim, because he's had to fix the fence every time. I don't know why Dylan wasn't just given his own key. It seems quite bizarre that he wasn't given his own key, seeing as he's using the shed. But did an argument spill over, and they ended up fighting, and Jim won the fight. Sammy says that Jim isn't a good fighter. You know, he's lost more battles than he's won. But if he had a firearm on him, then didn't need to fight, did he? Just need to pull out his weapon and bang. But again, did Jim act alone in disposing of the body? Did he call Chase to help him? You know, was this just an argument gone wrong, and Chase and Robert were called to help with the disposal of the body? I don't know. I think Chase and Robert would have to be very good friends of Jim to take on that kind of responsibility, and although they knew each other, were they really that good of friends? But with all three of them in jail, and I think, well, hopefully the pressure's put on them all to start talking. But at the moment, we don't know. Chase is in court again today. He was meant to be in court yesterday, but yeah, he's in court again today. So we'll see what comes of that, if anything. Now, clearly, the feds will know a lot more than what they've told us. So, who knows? But it looks like Dylan's vehicle, his truck, was power washed by him. Those early reports of, you know, him being killed by his own weapon and using his own truck to dispose of him aren't true. That was just a theory Candice had, and I'm kind of starting to discount that idea now. Just clearly that truck didn't move from Friday when Dylan got home from Montello. His keys were found, the keys to his truck were found in his trailer. His pistol was found in his trailer. His phone's still missing, and his phone pinged about, it's within kind of the cell tower region of Lucin, but there's a big kind of radius, like 15-mile radius, and the phone pinged within that radius towards the edge of that radius. But that area's been searched. Chase's haunts, where he normally goes, have been searched, and still nothing. But whoever did this had the whole weekend. They had from early Saturday morning until into Monday when the searchers got there. So they've had plenty of time to drive him miles away and just drop him off somewhere. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. But I'm kind of thinking that this wasn't an argument that boiled over. That there was a specific motive here, that Dylan had been paid $33,000 for a job, and he was telling people about it. He was proud of it. Maybe Chase and Robert decided to rob Dylan, thinking that he would have cash. Those people tend to deal in cash around there. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't have any cash. Maybe they didn't believe him. Maybe they got heavy with him. Big freight train going through there. Oh, it's Tesco. Every little helps. Maybe Dylan's demise was one of a financial motive. And we should be looking at Chase and Robert. And I'm sure the feds are looking at them very, very closely. Very closely. All right, guys, I'm going to get some water. My mouth is really dry. Goodbye from Miss Tillington and Miss Cassie Springer, who also need water. It's so close and so stuffy. That breeze is really nice when it blows. Anyway, until tomorrow, I'll see you very soon. Bye, guys.